Hey Paul, have you ever worn a mask? Yeah, like for Halloween, or you try to be where you're trying to be someone else. Wait, you're wearing one right now? Why? Because you're trying to be someone you're not? You're trying to be the great pretender? Welcome to another episode of the Mighty Code Coder. I'm Rob Fitzgerald, here to make you great and help you innovate. In this episode, we're going to talk about variables and data, or variables that are data, or just how data is stored. Also, if you wanted to pretend your data was something else, we will talk about casting your data so it can resemble something else. Great, right, Paul? Many times when you take data in, you store it in a space that is most efficient, meaning the number one can be stored as an integer or a string. We would have to reserve less memory if it was an int. However, if we wanted to print the data, it might be easier to print it as a string. So today we'll see how to do this, how to make your int become a string, or cast it, or have it wear a mask. Yeah, Paul, just like you did for Halloween. So let's get going. All right, so you want to go ahead and open your adhesive. And so that's what I will do now. And here it is. Okay, so this is Intro to Computer Science. And I guess when I first start, I will start in modules if I was you guys. Okay, I'm currently teaching computer science at South Hills High School. I'm in my first period computer science, Intro to Computer Science class, or Computer Science 101. Have you figured out what the name of this class is? All right. So anyway, so there's modules, and you guys look at these modules and you're going, oh my gosh, I've just had 4 days off. I have no idea where to start. I have a great thing I could do. I could click on this little guy. Now you guys don't have this little guy over here. This is just for teachers. Okay. And so there's a pacing guide by week that I could loosely base what we should be doing. Okay, so here was week 1, here's week 2, and here's week 3. So in week 2, you wanted to get to hardware basics, 1.5, 1.6, and do that quiz. So if you didn't get to that, it's still open, you have time, but we are going to move on to 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9 this week, okay? That's for Computer Science 101. Okay, now if you're watching this video and you're in Computer Science Principle or AP Computer Science Principles, or if you're in AP Computer Science A, you could fast forward to that piece. It's going to be right after this. All right, so 1.7 data types is what we want to talk about today. Data types and variables. Big topic. So if I go back to this and I click on 1.7, here it is right here. This will start the unit. Okay, and Adhesive does a really nice job of opening this with a nice discussion. It gives you some slides. If you don't want to hear the video, you can just download the slides. But there are 2 videos here, and these videos are going to be about 13 minutes long. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and watch those 2 videos now. It'll give you a good introduction to what we're talking about with data and variables, and then I'll come back to you in about 13 minutes. So there is 23 minutes left in class. So I'll come back to you with about 10 minutes left in class. Okay? All right. So let's do that. All right. So hopefully you had time to watch those videos and see what Adhesive talks about with variables. And there's also some reading for you to do if you want to get your head around that more. The one piece I thought was really neat was, again, that ear sketch piece, this ear sketch connection they're talking about. They always want to bring it into something that you do. So here's a program that actually uses a variable called distortion, and they get input from the keyboard and it basically just says, how distorted do you want your song? And they said the song could be distorted between 0.0 and 1.0. And so that's your input, and this distortion input is a variable that stores your 0.0 to 0.1. All right, and then when it goes ahead and sets the effect, it runs that function. Here is that distortion piece right here. So that distortion variable represents the number that you chose. So I'm going to go ahead and run this and see if you guys could see how a variable is stored and why it's stored and how easy it is to use. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. And I think the very first thing it does, it comes up and it gives you this input statement. It says, how distorted do you want your song? Let's make it halfway. Let's go 0.5. Whoops, 0.0, 0.5, and I hit OK. Now, I don't know if you guys could hear this or not, but that's now playing, and it's kind of a song with a distortion set to it. And that's why, that's a great example of how you'd use a variable and why you use a variable. Okay? All right, so let's move on to the next piece. But before we do that, I want to take you over to the whiteboard and talk a little bit more about variables. Okay? So let me do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and how do I do this? I got to remember how to do it. I think I just exit stage left. And I come over here. All right, so now I'm over here, and I want to do some whiteboard training on how variables work in a computer. So let me step as far over here as I can, and let's try to see variables. So let's say you have just a variable called name. Now this is a lot different as compared to your math teacher who just calls everything X all the time. Okay? But like your math teacher, the next thing comes is this equal sign. Now I want to just tell you that that equal sign is a lot different in math than it is for us. So if I say my name is Rob, and I have to do that with quotes around it, makes it a string. Okay, so it makes it a string. That is a type of data. All right, now if I did that in math, I would, if I put Rob, I think your math teacher would say that's what? They're looking for numbers. Okay, so where Rob is a string, your math teacher's always looking for an integer there, like 1, and I don't have to put quotes around it. Okay, so that's the main difference, but there's another big difference. This basically sets X to 1. In computer science, you got to look at the other way around. You got to go left into right. This puts Rob in the variable name. Or what I like to do is draw a cup. Okay. All right, there's my cup. And my cup could be named name. All right, and so for what I want you guys to do is I want you to see this Rob being put right inside the cup, and it's holding it in there like that. Okay, so these cups, these variables are cups, they're holders, they hold this, whatever it is in there. Okay, so if I say name equals Rob, or if I come in here and say, switch and say name equals Paul. Okay, what that effectively does is that dumps the cup out, takes Rob out of the cup, and now Paul is in the cup. Okay, so it virtually deletes it and adds this over it. Okay, so now Paul's in the cup. Wherever I want to use that in the program, I just pour out the cup. All right, but this also allows me to do Rob plus, let's say, name. Okay, so name equals Rob plus name. What is that? And if I make sure I put a space here, you know, so that would give me Rob, Rob. robbed twice. Now, what your math teacher doesn't tell you, this drives them bizarre. This drives them nuts. So if I say x, okay, or let me go back and talk about that. What your math teacher said, if I go x equals x plus 1, that drives him or her insane, because x is equal to x, not x plus 1. But if x was really 1, it just adds 1 plus 1 to x. And so your cup looks like this. So it's taking 1 plus 1, and it's now adding 2 in that variable. Okay? Don't do this in your math class. Your teacher will get very upset with you. Okay? But that's really what's happening is x, both of that has been there. So you could put the variable that you just named on the right side of the equal sign. Okay? And it now is x equals x plus 1. All right? So that is a little, just think about those cups, and think about storage and how it stores it. All right? And that's a little bit about that. Okay? So we'll leave that, and we'll come back over here. Let's go back. I just want to come back over here. And then I just kind of walk back in. Walk left. There it is. Okay. So let me see how long that took. We have 2 minutes and 44 seconds left in this class. I thought that was good timing. Hopefully I got everything there in. Okay, so here's what I want you to do now with today's lesson. So keep going in your adhesive and do question 1, cast input to int. All right, actually, I'm going to do, I'll do question 1 with you, and I want you to do question 2. All right, so this will, I'll have to do it quickly. It looks like there's a quiz. There always seems to be a quiz after any type of lecture. Okay, but right here it says, follow the code. Okay, the following code should take a number as input, multiply by 8, and print the result in line 2. Okay, so basically you know already that I have to give this a number. Okay, so this is a number, so I could say num equals. All right, so that enters a number. All right, so num equals input, enter a number. That input's really nice. You see what they're doing for CSA. All right, and now that num is going to equal whatever number you put in. It's going to put in that cup. There's the cup times 8. And so that should print up whatever my number is. Okay, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to run that. Enter the number. Let's enter 8. Hit return. And it is 88888888. That is not what it is. I don't know what happened there. That looks like it's clearing something. It's doing something that was there before. Let's try that again. All right, num equals input a number, and then I'm going to go that number times 8. It should just print 64. Let's try that again. 8. It looks like my keyboard's stuck or something happened. 8888. It just keeps running 8 times. Okay, so let's see what the problem here is. I bet you it's a space right here. Let's save that and run the code. Crazy. No, it's still 8888. Anyone see the problem with this one? Okay. If you do, go ahead and tell me what the problem is and get back to me. All right. But that should be 64. I don't know why it's printing it 8 times. All right. So it should be just the num times 8. Oh, remember, you actually have to cast this as an integer. All right, so I have to go int. All right, and I've got to cast, make sure num's an integer. So when it brings it in automatically as a string. All right, so save it there and run it. And now if I go 8 and hit return, there's 64. Okay, so you have to cast it as something it's not. It comes as a string. We cast it as an integer. Okay? Yeah, that's right, Paul. That's just like what you did. Okay, so that's it for this class. You guys are just about out of here. In fact, you are out of here. I'll see you next time, okay? And I'm going to pause the recording and wait for my next class to show up. Thanks for coming in, guys. Okay, now for computer science principles, AP computer science principles, I don't want to minimize the importance of this class. You guys are going to, well, why don't we go into the modules and see exactly where we want to be in CSP. Okay, so remember I have these little teacher notes here that are awesome. I could share them with you. I almost do all the time. I have no problem sharing them with you. If I go to weekly pacing guide, week 2 was last week. I'm calling this week 3, even though it's week 4. But last week we did 1.4 through 1.8. All right. Now week 3 starts with 1.8 and 1.9. So it talks about these variables again. It's very important that you understand variables. Okay. And it's really neat because Computer Science 101 started with variables, and Computer Science CSA is doing variables. So all of us are doing variables this week. So we're all just doing a little bit different. Okay, so Computer Science Principles, you are doing 1.8 this week, 1.9. There's another quiz, and then at the end of this week, you want to take this Unit 1 exam if you're keeping up. Again, if you're going to store it all for a rainy weekend, then this will be open and available to you. Okay, that makes sense? This is an asynchronous type of class. I'm trying to get the videos up there on time, but if you're not on time and you're still lagging, maybe you had some problems earlier, and you got stuck on a couple programs and you're back, that's still fine. You're not being dinged for being late. All right, so with that said, we will start 1.8 with CSP today, okay? All right, so now I will scroll back, and I'm going to go into 1.8, and it's called Defining Variables. All right, now CSP, here are the 2 videos that I want you to watch, and you're going to take about 14 minutes. So I'm going to come back with you in about with like 15 minutes left in class, okay? So you'll watch this video on variables, this video on variables, and then today I'm going to do a very special board chalk talk with you. I'm going to actually switch to the whiteboard. Switch to the whiteboard today. All right. And we're going to do a board talk on variables. But go ahead and start watching those videos. Take about 14 minutes. I'll see you with 15 minutes left of class. All right, so if you're CSP and CSA, hopefully you had a chance to watch those introductory videos. Both classes are talking about variables. So now in order to drill that home, all right, beyond what you learned here in these videos, I want to go to the whiteboard and do some chalk talk about variables. So let's do that now. Okay, so now we're back, we're over here, we're at the chalkboard, and I want to talk about variables in CSP and CSA. Working with 2 different languages. Now understand, CSP, you're using JavaScript behind your Scratch. You probably don't see it much, but the concepts are the same. CSA is using Java. They both have they both use variables, and they store data the same. All right, so let's start with something you know already. X equals 1. You probably see this in your math classes. All right, if I go x equals 1, I'm saying x is an integer. All right, or in computer science, it's lowercase int. Okay, now there's another system that has 2 equal signs, and an equal sign is a comparison. So I might be asking, does x equal 1? And your math teacher said, well, that compares right there. Yes, it does equal 1. I'm going to show you why that's wrong, and your math teacher, it'll blow his or her head when they see this, and they don't want to see this. All right, it's the whole concept why computer science is different than math. But anyway, so equal is not an int, it's actually a Boolean. It comes out with a true or false. Does x equal 1? True or false? Just there's only 2 ways it can come out. And so since it does equal 1, this comes out to true. But here's how I want you to see variables. Here's what I thought that the videos didn't do a very good job of. Usually when you have a variable, it's just something to store data. And that number is data, or a text, or whatever you put in it is data. So how is it stored? Here's how it's stored. Okay, I have a cup like this. Okay, and it goes like this, and it goes like that. There it is. That's my best cup. All right, and so I'm going to call the name of that cup X. I don't know, you guys want some steam coming out or something? All right, so that's cup X, and it's going to hold data. In this case, it holds the number 1. Okay, so you got to think of when you have variables, 1 is going into that cup. And I could carry it wherever I want to go with that cup. I could just carry it, I could carry it across the room, I could dump it out, okay? But right now there's a 1 in there, okay? And that's because of this line here, all right? That set it equal to 1. Now, here's the thing that will really kind of toil with your math teacher. What if I did this? X equals X plus 1. Boom. Okay, their head explodes like, wait, what? X equals 1, X can equals X plus 1, because X equals 1, and this is, what is this? And so, well, up here if you defined 1 as X, remember that's that cup, all right? It's holding that 1. Should I draw that little cup again? See how small I could draw these cups. All right, and what was in this cup? 1. Okay, a little 1. Can you guys see that? Is that too far away? Yeah, okay, that's a 1. So it's really just saying 1 plus 1. So now in that cup now is not 1. In that cup now is 2. Okay, so you're walking around the cup and you got a 2 in it. All right? But the math teacher say, wait, I said X equals 1. The very next line for CSA, you'd have something like that. You'd have a semicolon. Well, you have semicolons in JavaScript too for CSP. But you have that now gets erased by this. The very next line, if you say X equals X plus 1, this one rules. This one is now no longer valid. It's late. Okay? So that's a key point. Just think about stuff being held in a cup. Now, if you are CSP, you basically have variables being held in the stacked memory. Okay, on your computer you have 2 types of memories. Okay, and I will show you now your stack. Now, you don't have to worry about the other type of memory, but CSA you do. The other type of memory is called heap memory. Now, when I first got taught this, in my head it helps me organize all this stuff that's going on, because data's flying everywhere and things are equaling things and sometimes they're comparing things. What is all this stuff? Okay, think about the stack memory. So if I go ahead and the stack memory, it can hold integers. It's X. Okay, that's really not X. That's something so we can remember, but it's really like 0, X, 8, 1, 3, 7. That's like what the computer uses for memory location, but we would never remember that. So it lets us to rename the memory location just X. All right? And X is going to equal, on your stack memory, 1. Okay, it's just going to X is going to equal 1 on the stack memory. It really looks like this. This is actually a better, I think this looks better. People will probably argue on my videos, comment below where I'm wrong. But if I have this cell named X, there's a 1 in it. Okay? But today in CSA, when you watch your video, they start talking about objects. And objects are reference pointers. Okay? So I might have a string named name. Well, a string is actually an object. Okay? And an object's created over here. Okay? So this is an object. And in the object, objects can hold many things, okay? This is what's so great about this. Now, you start thinking, well, this X could just hold a 1. That's really not a lot of data. What if I need more data? Well, I'll use an array. And he talked about an array in there. It could be a bunch of data. Like you could say Y equals 1, 2, 3, 4. And that could be in an array. Okay, so that's nice. I can do that. But what's even better is an object. Because an object could hold the name, it could hold X, and it could hold Y. It could hold all that data. So see why I say computer science is really about data and how you manipulate it and how you transfer it. So now this name, use a pointer reference. Okay, just a reference, takes this point and says, hey, I'm this object. Usually the object has a name. Remember scanner? Remember we called scanner scan? And we use the word new. Okay, we're going to do some scan stuff today in CSA. All right, so this object's name is scan, and it has an X value, and a Y value, and a name value, and whatever. So the object's a great way to program because you could hold a bunch of different types of object. When usually X, if it's an integer, if it's just int X, it can only hold integers. If Y is equal to this, Y is holding an array. That's all it could hold. And the array can only hold integers. But an object could hold strings, integers, booleans, images. You see, so object-oriented programming is a big plus, and that's where CSP you leave and CSA steps in. CSA, the difference between your class and CSP is this piece, this reference piece, or the heap memory. Okay, so I kind of put both classes together. That was a lot. Just remember, I like the cup. I like thinking about things in the cup. I also want you guys to strongly remember that it is, in your math class, I feel like the teacher always thinks it's going that way, X equals 1. But in computer science, I want you to think about it like this. X equals 1, 1 is going into X, so it's right to left. You see how it's right to left, and then in math it's more left to right. Okay, this is where it gets scrambled. Okay, and by the way, this might be the reason some people have problems with algebra or math, because that way doesn't make a lot of sense and this does. 1 is being held in this storage location called X. Okay, so think about it from right to left, and that's why we can do X equals X plus 1. You calculate this side first, so if X is 1, 1 plus 1, and then you take the sum of that and put it in X cup. Okay? Okay, and that's it. So let me come back over and see where you guys are at. Okay, that was our first chalk talk of the year. We have 4 minutes left in class. That's awesome. Okay, so let me try to let me plug in my iPad here so that I don't lose battery power there. But let me try to close up CSP and make sure that you guys got it right. Yeah, okay. So CSP, you want to basically do 1.8A and 1.8B. And there's a video in there, and I think she does a great job explaining, what blocky thing you're gonna pull across and add to the scene. It's a little different because you have to learn Scratch's platform and how they drag and drop blocks. But remember, all you're doing is taking variables and assigning them to values, right to left. Okay, so do 1.8. I'll show you that here on the screen before I leave. And then CSA, I want to actually do a program with you. 1.8, here's A. You guys, you're going to a party and you're going to get a bunch of stuff, and then you got to categorize, is this stuff a string? Is it a Boolean? Is it is Sarah coming, true or false, right? That'd be Boolean. How many balloons should I have? 12, that's an integer. Okay, so you got to set up a party, and then you have to label what your data is. Okay, that's kind of a fun exercise. That shouldn't be too much. Go ahead and give me the link to your Google Docs. But here's exercise B, where you actually do some programming, and I think these 2 videos are sufficient for you to get that done. You're going to make a little Mad Lib using the Scratch interface. Okay, So you guys get going with that. And now I want to go into CSA and make sure CSA knows what they're doing. All right, so CSA, if I go to your modules, all right, and remember I get to click these things. Okay, I get to click to see what your pacing guide says you're going to do this week. Okay, and I think I have already talked to you guys about this, but I'll do it again just to put it on film. Let me add another drive here. Let me go to open. All right, so here is, so for CSA, you have to go into, on the week of September 8 to 11, you're doing Unit 2, Lesson 1, Unit 2, Lesson 2, okay, and Unit 2, Lesson 3. So just think Unit 2, 1, 2, and 3 this week, okay? Now, remember, we're already at Tuesday, so you got to kind of step forward, and hopefully you get that done by Friday. I might slow down a little bit to get you caught up from the long weekend, but let's see how far you can get with lesson 1, 2, and 3. These aren't really the hardest things, but let's to get you going. Let's actually do one of the first problems. Okay, and I'm going to show you how I organize myself. Okay, what did I say we're going to do? Unit 2, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so the first thing they have is a fast start. Okay, just a right away to see where your knowledge is, what you've gained so far. I think you'll be surprised at how much you know already. All right, remember this is unlimited, do as many times you can. And then here is the videos you just got done. That's talking about objects, okay, and the reference point. I like the way I describe it better with the stack and heap memory, and that's true. That's really what happens. All right, and here's some review questions. After any amount of information they give you, they always give you a little quiz. And then they give you this activity here. I feel like, is this the one I want to do, or is the next one I wanted to do with you guys? Let's see. Here is coding activity 2, and this one, I believe, no, I was going to do coding activity 1 with you guys. All right, so we only have 4 seconds left in class. I'm going to continue on. You guys can check out. I'm going to put this on the video, put it up on YouTube channel. So make sure you guys watch it. I'm going to actually code this piece right here to show you how to do it or how not to do it. See you guys. All right, so here is, let's read first what we want to do. It says, write a program which asks the user for their name and age. As you can see right now, the name is going to be a string and the age is going to be an integer. The program should then print a sentence repeating this information as shown in the sample run. What is your name? Corey. What is your age? 48. Corey is 48 years old. All right, now, here's the key point. This is an input. We have the input from the keyboard. For some reason, Java inputting is really hard. I mean, it has you have to go get the scanner class, and then you got to instantiate a scanner, and it's crazy. In Python, you just said input, you know, and you might cast it as an integer because it comes as a string. But it's so hard in Java. But think about what's going on in Java. They're in Python, they're inputting a string or integer. But I think Java's thinking ahead, like that's probably not the only input they're going to have. Okay. They're probably going to have a couple different inputs. Okay, you might have from the keyboard, you might have from your phone, you might have from GPS, you know, you might have it from some other device. And I think what Java does is getting ready for your program to scan whatever device they're inputting data from. And that's why the scanner. And that's why it's not as simple as Python. So what I do in order to remember stuff like that, remember CSA, you can log out anytime you're ready. You got 3 minutes till period 3 starts, or you can keep watching this. So what I do is I create, if you've ever been in my class, I have a ring folder. I have a ring with attached a bunch of they're either paper or they're sometimes I have them like laminated. Sometimes at stores you get Java cheat notes and whatnot, and it's things that it's code that it's very good code. It took me a long time to write it, or it takes a long time to get your head around it, and so you can quickly go and have some cheat sheets. This is what I'm doing now. I just started it. I'm just going to create a Google Doc called Quick Notes, and tell you one of the first things I'm going to do. I'm going to put scanner up there because scanner. I'm never going to remember scanner. I should put the scanner import statement. In fact, should I do that now? Now I won't do it now. You should maybe put the scanner import because you need scanner import too. So here is this is what you have to do. Scan equals new scanner system.in. All right. If I want a integer, I have to go scan.nextInt. If I want a string, I got to go scan.nextLine. That makes no sense. It seems like it should be next string. All right, but there it is. So I have it in my quick notes, and I do that, and I think you should do that. Things that are hard for you to remember or obscure, just go ahead and put little notes in a Google Doc. All right. So the first thing I have to do is I have to input a string. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use the scanner. They give you already. They give you the import for scanner. In fact, yeah, let's do that. Let's take that just in case they don't give it to us. Copy, and I'll put that in my notes. So this is my scanner notes. Okay, so all that has to be in there. All right. And so, whoop, I copied that. So let's copy both. I know I'm going to need, I know I'm going to need all three of these. So I'm going to copy them all. All right. And so I'm going to paste them in here. All right. And again, like in my last video, you might want to go ahead and use your comment code, all right, to say what you're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to say input name, all right, and I could do the scanner. The scanner is going to be the same object. Remember, this object is created on the heap memory, little quiz, all right. So I'm going to do that up here. So there's a scanner object, and if I want to, I could go okay, scanner object. Space it, make it look nice. Okay, and then I'm going to do input name would be this one. Okay, and I'm going to say, I'll say exactly what it is. Name equals scan next line. And remember, you got to actually ask him that question. So system.out print line. What is your name? That looks good. I like that. Make sure you get the semicolon. Okay, so that looks good for the input name. Now let's go. And remember, you could use / star and end with /star, and star is above the 8. I just turned my sticky keys on, and I don't know how I did that. Hopefully I can turn those off. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to say input age. All right, so I've got to put a system.out. And remember, I always try to make things faster, copy and paste it. Okay, what is your age? Okay, and then put age here for the integer. There we go. So I got them both. I believe I have them both. And then the last thing they want you to do is just put it, the name is the name. Let's do another, let's do another comment code and say output. And I'll just go system.out.println. I'm going to say name. And then I'm going to say plus space is, I got to put a space before that. You could always do a space too. I could do a space and then concatenate another is. And then, or I can do a space after that is, like this, plus, what did I have to say? I got to say is so many years old, is age. And again, you can put another space if you want. And I might get dinged for this, so we'll see when I turn it in. And you might want to play at these years old, period. I like that. I think that's going to be good, but let's run it and see, just in case. Okay, so I'm going to save it, run my code, run code. See my, oh, got errors all over the place. Let's see what all these, a lot of errors. I feel like something came in up here. So strange. This age just came up here for some reason. Let's run that code again. That was bizarre. All right, and then this age came here too. What is this age thing coming in? Any more of those ages? That was really weird. All right, here's some more problems. System.out print line. What is your age? I have this little deal going on. A lot of weird stuff got put into my code for some reason. I think it was those sticky keys that I had on. Let's make sure that's okay. Everything looks, this period doesn't look good. Semicolon. Save it. Run code. All right, just down to the last one. Let's see what's going on. Can I find symbol system.out print line? Print line? All right, that sounds like a good title for this video. Print line. Save that. So going through some errors real quick. There it is. What is your name? Finally. Rob. What is your age? Plus. Age. Plus. Okay. Let's say I am. I really did something here. Let's say I am 45. Rob is 45 years old. Boy, I really got myself in a bind there, didn't I? Teachers watching, I'm sure you're laughing. All right, so there was something wrong with his age again. Name is, comma, age, comma, years old. I don't know where that's coming in. Probably something when I brought in age, it brought in age. No, that's just my print statement. So name, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of the blank lines. It seems a little strange. Is age, get rid of those blank lines. I didn't like those. Plus, and I'll just put the spaces in the output itself. See if that's better. There it is. What is your name? Let's use a fictitious guy this time. Joe. What is your age? It's so weird. It's age plus. Age plus. So weird. Why is it doing age plus? Is age. What is your age? Oh, it's up here. I'm tearing apart this one, but it's this one that's the problem. Okay. Save it. Sometimes you can't see it. It's great. Pair programming will help this out. Okay, let's stop this. Let's run it again. What is your name? Joe. What is your age? Let's say he's 20. Joe is 20 years old. Okay, got it done. Okay. So, with that said, that's CSA. So CSA, you want to go ahead and finish the rest of those lessons. Unit 2, Lesson 2, Coding Activity 1. Okay, and try to get all those done. And by the end of the week, from what I showed you. And that's it for this episode. Hope that you enjoyed it. Remember, always trying to make you great and help you innovate. So until next time, what, Paul? Yes, that's right. And if you have questions, you can leave comments below. Or you can go to the website at www.themightycodecoder.com or find me on Twitter at mightycodecoder. Thank you for watching.